Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're going to talk about acupuncture, but probably not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're going to toss out that old idea of some kind of magic button and dive into a whole new logic, one that's all about systems, movement, and, well, constant change. All right, so let's jump right in with a big question, a real puzzle that's had researchers scratching their heads for decades. How is it that a treatment with thousands of years of history is still so darn hard to explain with our modern medical research? What if the problem isn't with acupuncture itself, but with the tools we're using to understand it?
Okay, so to really get a handle on this problem, the material we're looking at today gives us this fantastic metaphor. And this quote, it just nails a huge flaw in a lot of research. Think about it like this. Imagine a patient gets acupuncture and feels better. Great. But then the researchers go back and try to figure out why. They start building a story. Oh, it must have been nerve stimulation, or maybe it was increased blood flow. See? The story always fits perfectly because they already know the ending. They're drawing the target after the arrow has already landed. Now, this whole process looks super scientific on the surface, right? But it's actually a bit of a trap. I mean, when you have a nearly endless menu of possible explanations, of course you can find one that fits the data after the fact. The problem is, it doesn't really tell you what actually happened. And that leads to what our source cleverly calls narrative prosperity, but stagnant understanding. In other words, we get a ton of great-sounding stories, but we're not actually learning anything new.
So why does this whole arrow then target thing fall apart when it comes to acupuncture? Well, it's pretty simple, really. The human body just isn't a static machine. It's a living, breathing system that's always in motion. And a disease? That's not some fixed bullseye you can aim at. It's a dynamic process. And that's exactly why that simple A causes B logic just isn't going to cut it here.
Okay, so if that old framework is broken, what's the alternative? We need to look at this through a completely new lens. It's time to shift our entire way of thinking. And this slide, wow, it really lays out the two different worlds. On one side, you've got the old mechanical view. The body is a machine, a thing with parts that break and need fixing. But on the other side, we have the systems view. Here, the body is way more like a complex weather system. It's dynamic, it's interconnected, it's constantly adapting. So the goal isn't to fix a broken part anymore. It's to gently guide the flow of the whole system back towards balance. So if we're going to talk about this dynamic system, we're going to need a new language for it. And that's where this concept from Chinese medicine, Qi Ji, comes in. Now hold on, it's not about some kind of mystical energy. Think of it more like the body's fundamental operating system. It's the word for that constant process of movement, change, and adaptation. It's literally the language of a body in motion. All right, this next part, this is really the heart of the whole idea. This is the big aha moment. And honestly, it could change how we think about not just acupuncture, but maybe any kind of medical treatment. For a long time, medicine has worked on a pretty simple model. Stimulus leads to response. You take a pill, you get a result. You put in a needle, something happens. A leads to B. Simple. But we all know from our own lives, it's not that simple, is it? Why does that coffee wake you up some mornings but do nothing on others? Why does the same treatment work for your friend but not for you? There's obviously a huge, crucial piece of the puzzle missing from that simple A to B equation. And here it is, the master key. The response isn't just about the stimulus, it's the stimulus times the system state. And that system state, that's everything. It's the body's total condition, your stress levels, your digestion, your sleep, the whole shebang at that exact moment of treatment. That's the missing piece that changes everything. So what does this really mean? It means a needle isn't a magic button that triggers a command. Nope, it's more like a gentle disturbance. Think of it like tossing a small pebble into a river. The effect, the ripples, depends completely on the river itself. Is it flowing fast or slow? Is it deep or shallow? The river, or in this case the body, is an active participant. It's the one that decides how to integrate that little disturbance. Okay, so if the body is this dynamic, responsive system, what does that mean for the person holding the needle? Well, this idea completely changes the job description of an acupuncturist. See, the real skill isn't just about being a technician with perfect aim. It's not about mechanical precision. The real art is in becoming a master observer. Someone who can perceive the state of the system and identify that perfect moment when it's ripe for change. The source calls this the changeable moment. And this whole approach is guided by a really elegant set of principles. It's like a delicate dance with the body. You use the needle to listen to what the system is doing. You use a really light touch so you don't just overwhelm it. You want to see its natural reaction. Then you get quick feedback from the body's response. And, this is a big one, you have to know when to stop. You let the system do its own work. It's all about following the flow, working with the body's own direction of change, not fighting against it. And this quote really sums up a huge part of this philosophy. In our world, we're always thinking more is better, right? Add more, do more. But here, the idea is that real effectiveness often comes from reduction, from doing less. You provide just the tiniest nudge the system needs, and then you step back and trust the body's incredible intelligence to do the rest. Okay, let's zoom out for a second, because when you really think about it, this new way of looking at things, it's not just about acupuncture. This could be a whole new paradigm for medicine in general. And part of that new paradigm is changing how we even define success. The old goal, the gold standard in medicine, has always been the reproducibility of results. This pill must always lower blood pressure by X points. But in a dynamic, complex system, that's just not realistic. The new goal becomes the reproducibility of probability. You're not trying to guarantee an outcome. You're trying to skillfully increase the chance of recovery. You're tipping the scales in the body's favor. So when you boil it all down, what we're talking about is a massive shift in thinking. We're moving away from trying to control the body and moving towards collaborating with it. We're getting out of the business of forcing a result and into the business of creating the conditions for healing to happen on its own. It's about a medicine that actually moves with the flow of life. I mean, this quote from the source material just says it all, doesn't it? Acupuncture isn't there to replace the body or do the work for it. It's there to stimulate and awaken the body's own amazing self-repair systems. The goal isn't to be the mechanic, it's to be the gentle reminder, the catalyst that helps the body remember how to heal itself. And that really leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it? What if the future of medicine is less about controlling the body and more about learning how to collaborate with it? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Explainer.